The evening sky turned dark orange as the sun set behind the hills. Taho Kim sat on his porch, a cup of warm tea in his hands. His small home in the Korean countryside was quiet, just the way he liked it after years of noise and pressure at the space agency. "Come here, Danji," he called to his beagle puppy who was sniffing around the garden. The small dog looked up, ears perked, then ran to his master. Danji was only 6 months old, with brown and white fur that Taho brushed every evening. The puppy jumped onto his lap and curled up. "Good boy," Taho said, petting the dog's head. "Just you and me tonight." Taho was 63 years old now. His black hair had turned gray and lines marked his face. But his eyes were still sharp, trained from years of watching the stars. He had been an astronaut before he retired 5 years ago. Now he grew vegetables and spent time with his dog. The first strange thing Taho noticed was how Danji's ears suddenly stood up. The dog jumped off his lap and began to bark at the sky. "What is it, boy?" Taho asked, looking up. At first, he saw nothing. Then a flash of light streaked across the darkening sky. It was not a falling star. It moved too slowly and seemed to change direction. "That's not normal," Taho whispered. The light grew bigger and brighter. Taho stood up, his tea forgotten. Years of training told him this was not a plane or satellite. The object moved with purpose, and it was heading toward his property. Danji barked louder now, running in circles, and then back to Taho's side. The light disappeared behind the tree line, at the edge of Taho's garden. There was a loud crash, followed by the sound of breaking branches. The ground shook slightly. "Stay," Taho told Danji firmly. The dog whined but sat down. Taho went inside and grabbed a flashlight and his old walking stick. He was not a foolish man. If something had crashed on his land, he needed to check it out. It could be dangerous. When he returned to the porch, Danji was gone. "Danji," he called, worried. Then he saw the small shape of his dog running toward the crash site. "No, come back." Taho hurried after his pet, moving as fast as his old legs would allow. The night air was cool on his face. As he got closer to the trees, he could smell something burning. Strange colors flickered through the leaves, blues and purples he had never seen before. When he reached his vegetable garden, Taho stopped in shock. His rows of cabbage and carrots were crushed under a metal object about the size of a small car. It was not like any aircraft he had ever seen. The shape was round, with strange markings that glowed in the dark. Parts of it still smoked from the crash. Danji stood 20 feet away, his small body tense, growling at the object. "Danji, come here," Taho whispered, but the dog ignored him. A section of the object suddenly moved. With a hiss of escaping air, part of the side slid open. Taho held his breath, his heart pounding in his chest. A figure emerged from the opening. It was about the height of a tall human but much thinner. Its skin was a deep purple color that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. The head was larger than a human's, with no visible hair. Most striking were its eyes, large, almond-shaped, and glowing a soft yellow. Taho had seen many strange things in his life. He had floated in space and looked down at Earth, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. The creature, the alien, took one shaky step forward and then collapsed onto the crushed vegetables. It made a sound like nothing Taho had ever heard before, a high-pitched howl that sent shivers down his spine. Danji's response was immediate. The small beagle rushed forward, teeth bared, and bit the alien's leg-like limb. The alien howled again, louder this time. Danji held on, growling. "Danji, no," Taho shouted, rushing forward to pull his dog away. "Bad dog." As he grabbed Danji, Taho found himself face to face with the fallen visitor from the stars. The alien's yellow eyes locked with his. In that moment, Taho knew his quiet life had just become very, very complicated. "Let go, Danji," Tahoe pulled his beagle away from the fallen alien. The dog squirmed in his arms, still growling. The alien's yellow eyes blinked rapidly. It touched the spot where Danji had bitten it. A strange blue liquid oozed from the wound. Not blood, but something else. Tahoe stepped back, holding Danji tightly. The alien tried to stand but fell again. It made another howling sound, softer this time. Was it in pain? Scared? Angry? Tahoe couldn't tell. "I'm sorry about my dog," Tahoe said, knowing the alien probably couldn't understand him. He pointed to himself. "Tahoe." Then he pointed to the dog. "Danji." The alien watched him carefully. It pointed a long, thin finger at itself and made a sound like Nix. "Nix." Tahoe repeated. "That's your name." The alien nodded. The simple human gesture surprised Tahoe. Perhaps their species weren't so different after all. Danji had stopped growling but remained tense in Tahoe's arms. The old astronaut looked at the crashed ship, then at the darkening sky. Night was coming fast. He couldn't leave the alien out here, injured and cold. "Come," Tahoe said, making a gesture with his hand. "My house is warm." Nix looked at the crashed ship, then back at Tahoe. The alien tried to stand again and succeeded this time, though its movements were shaky. It was very tall, almost 7 feet, but thin like a reed. Its purple skin seemed to shimmer slightly in the fading light. They walked slowly back to Tahoe's house. Nix limped from Danji's bite. The beagle watched the alien closely, staying between it and his master. Inside the small house, Tahoe pointed to a chair. "Sit." The alien seemed to understand and sat down. Tahoe put Danji in the bedroom and closed the door. The dog barked in protest, but Tahoe needed quiet to think. He went to the kitchen and returned with a first aid kit and a notepad with pencils. Tahoe had been trained in basic medicine during his astronaut days. He didn't know if human medicine would work on an alien, but he had to try. Nix watched as Tahoe drew a simple picture on the notepad, a stick figure with a bandage on its leg. Then he pointed to Nix's injury. The alien seemed to understand. It stretched out its leg-like limb. Up close, Tahoe could see that the skin was covered in tiny scales, almost like a fish. The bite wound still leaked blue fluid. Tahoe cleaned the wound gently with water. When he tried to use antiseptic, Nix pulled back sharply and made a high noise that hurt Tahoe's ears. Okay. No antiseptic," Tahoe said quickly. He wrapped a clean bandage around the alien's leg instead. Nix touched the bandage with long fingers. Then the alien took the notepad and pencil. Tahoe watched in amazement as Nix drew quickly. The picture showed stars, a ship, and a planet with rings. "You came from there?" Tahoe asked, pointing to the planet. Nix shook its head. It drew more, a bigger ship, and then the small ship that had crashed. The alien pointed to itself, then the small ship, then made a diving motion with its hand. "You crashed. You weren't supposed to land here," Tahoe guessed. Nix nodded. Then it drew something that looked like a radio or phone, and made gestures like it was talking into it. The alien pointed to the crashed ship, then shook its head. "Your communication device is broken," Tahoe said slowly. "You need to contact your people." In the bedroom, Danji started barking again. The sound seemed to bother Nix, who covered its ears. The ears were small holes on the sides of its head, with no outer ear like humans had. Tahoe thought hard. He was hiding an alien in his house. Should he call someone? The government? Scientists? What would they do to Nix? He remembered how researchers had treated unusual specimens during his space agency days. Tests, experiments, detention. No, he couldn't do that to a thinking being. Not until he understood more. Nix drew another picture, this time of the big ship coming down to Earth. "Your people will come looking for you," Tahoe said. "How much time do we have?" The alien held up 3 fingers. 3 what? Hours? Days? As if answering, the alien drew the sun rising and setting. 3 days. Tahoe sighed and looked at the strange visitor sitting in his kitchen. 3 days to figure out how to help you contact your ship without causing a panic on Earth. Outside, an owl hooted. Danji's barking grew louder. And somewhere above them, beyond the clouds, Nix's people were waiting. Morning came with golden light through Tahoe's windows. He had let Nix sleep on the couch, while he dozed in a chair nearby. Danji had finally settled down in his dog bed, though he kept one eye open all night. Tahoe made a simple breakfast of rice and eggs. He wasn't sure what Nix could eat, so he offered various foods. The alien sniffed each item carefully. It seemed most interested in fruit. When Tahoe gave Nix an apple, the alien examined it before taking a small bite. Its face changed color slightly, from purple to a deeper violet. Was that a smile? A frown? "We need to fix your communicator," Tahoe said, pointing to the drawing Nix made last night. "We should go back to your ship." The alien nodded and stood up. Its legs seemed better this morning. Tahoe noticed that the bandage was now dry. The blue fluid had stopped leaking. Danji followed them outside, staying close to Tahoe, but no longer growling at Nix. The morning was quiet except for birds singing in the trees. They walked to the crash site, where Nix's ship sat half-buried in the garden. In daylight, Tahoe could see it better. The ship was smooth and round, with no visible engines. Strange symbols covered its surface. Nix pressed its hand against a panel, and part of the ship opened. The alien climbed inside and came out with a device that looked like a metal box with lights. It pointed to a damaged section. "It's broken," Tahoe said. "What do you need to fix it?" Before Nix could respond, Danji started barking wildly. He ran toward the front of the house, his bark urgent and warning. "What is it, boy?" Tahoe asked, suddenly nervous. Then he heard it, the sound of a car engine coming up his long driveway. Visitors were rare at his remote home. "Quick," Tahoe said, pointing to the ship. "Hide inside." Nix seemed to understand the danger. It slipped back into the ship with its broken communicator. Tahoe quickly covered the visible parts of the ship with garden tools and old tarps he had nearby. "Inside, Danji," Tahoe said, hurrying back to the house. The beagle followed, still barking. By the time a black SUV pulled up in front of his home, Tahoe was sitting on his porch, pretending to drink tea. His heart beat fast in his chest. A woman in a military uniform stepped out of the SUV. 3 men in similar uniforms followed her. The woman walked toward Tahoe with confident steps. "Mr. Kim Tahoe?" she asked. Tahoe nodded. "Yes, that's me." "I am Major Park Ji-soo," the woman said. She showed him a military ID card. "We're investigating reports of unusual lights in this area last night. Did you see anything strange?" Tahoe tried to keep his face calm. "Lights? No, nothing unusual. I went to bed early." Major Park looked at him closely. "Your neighbors 20 kilometers from here reported seeing something fall from the sky. Our calculations suggest it landed somewhere in this area." "I have no neighbors," Tahoe said. "The closest farm is far away." "Even so," Major Park said, "we need to check your property." The 3 men were already spreading out, looking around. Danji growled at them from behind Tahoe's legs. "Your dog seems upset," Major Park noted. "He doesn't like strangers," Tahoe said. "Please call your men back. You're trespassing on private property." Major Park smiled, but her eyes remained cold. "National security gives us certain rights, Mr. Kim, especially when the person involved is a former astronaut with top-level clearance." One of the men called out from near the garden. "Major, there's something here you should see." Tahoe's stomach tightened. They had found the ship. Major Park turned to walk toward the garden. Tahoe followed, his mind racing. What could he do? Suddenly, there was a loud crash from inside the house. Glass breaking. something falling. Everyone froze. Major Park signaled to one of her men. "Check that out," she ordered. As the soldier walked toward the house, Danji started barking again, running in circles around the men. "Control your dog, Mr. Kim," Major Park said. Tai-ho whistled, and Danji returned to his side, still growling. What had made that noise inside? Was Nix in the house now? How had it moved from the ship without being seen? The soldier returned from the house. It was just a shelf that fell. "Major." Old wood gave way. Major Park looked suspicious. She glanced at the garden again, then back at Tai-ho. "We'll be watching this area closely, Mr. Kim. If you see anything unusual, you must report it immediately." She handed him a card with her phone number. "For your own safety." When the SUV finally drove away, Tai-ho let out a long breath. That had been close. Too close. From the house doorway, Nix appeared, holding the broken communicator. The alien had somehow slipped into the house and created a diversion. "Thank you," Tai-ho said, genuinely impressed. But their troubles were just beginning. Tai-ho closed all the curtains in his house. He checked twice to make sure no one could see inside. Nix sat at the kitchen table, the broken communicator in front of it. The alien's long purple fingers moved quickly over the device. "Can you fix it?" Tai-ho asked. Nix made a sound that might have been a sigh. It pointed to several small parts inside the communicator that were broken or bent. Tai-ho nodded. "You need new parts." He went to his storage room and came back with an old box. Inside were small electronic pieces from his days at the space agency. Radios, calculators, and other gadgets he had kept. "Maybe something in here will work," he said, placing the box on the table. Nix looked through the items with interest. It picked up a small circuit board from an old satellite phone and held it next to a broken part in the communicator. The sizes were similar. Danji watched from his spot in the corner, his brown eyes never leaving the alien. As they worked, Tai-ho noticed strange markings on the side of the communicator. They looked like writing, but unlike any language he had ever seen. Some symbols seemed to glow faintly. "What do these mean?" he asked, pointing to the markings. Nix hesitated. Then it took the notepad and drew a picture of many ships heading toward a planet. The planet looked like Earth. Tai-ho felt a cold feeling in his stomach. "Are these battle plans?" The alien quickly shook its head. It added to the drawing. The ships were not attacking, but making the circle around Earth. Still, something didn't feel right to Tai-ho. He remembered an old translation program he had used at the space agency. It was designed to analyze unknown patterns and find meaning. He still had access to it through his old work computer. "Wait here," he told Nix. In his bedroom, Tai-ho turned on his dusty laptop. His hand shook slightly as he typed his password. Was he helping a friendly visitor, or was Nix hiding something? The translation program took pictures of the alien markings and began to work. After several minutes, words appeared on the screen. "Advance Scout or EPORT. Planet suitable for something." The last word was unclear. Tai-ho's heart beat faster. "Scout report. For what?" "Colonization. Invasion." When he returned to the kitchen, Nix had connected the circuit board to the communicator. Small lights blinked on the device. "It's working now?" Tai-ho asked. Nix nodded, but instead of looking happy, the alien seemed nervous. It kept looking at the windows and doors. "What aren't you telling me?" Tai-ho asked, his voice harder now. "Are your people planning to attack Earth?" Nix's yellow eyes widened. It shook its head forcefully and made gestures with its hands that seemed to mean no or never. But Tai-ho wasn't convinced. He pulled out his phone and showed Nix the partial translation. "What does this mean?" "Scout report." The alien's skin changed color, becoming darker purple. It reached for the communicator quickly. "No," Tai-ho said, grabbing the device first. "I need the truth." Nix stood up, now much taller than Tai-ho. The alien's mouth opened, showing teeth that were sharp and pointed. It made a high-pitched howling sound that hurt Tai-Ho's ears. Danji reacted instantly. The beagle jumped up and charged at Nix, biting the alien's leg again, in the same spot as before. This time, Danji held on tightly. Nix howled louder and tried to shake the dog off. In the struggle, the alien knocked over the table. The communicator fell to the floor. "Danji, stop!" Tai-Ho shouted, trying to pull his dog away. The alien's leg was leaking blue fluid again. Some drops fell onto the communicator, causing it to spark and smoke. Finally, Tai-Ho managed to separate them. He held Danji tightly as the dog continued to growl and bark. Nix backed away, holding its injured leg. The alien looked at the damaged communicator on the floor, then at Tai-Ho. Its yellow eyes seemed filled with, was it fear, anger, disappointment? "I'm sorry," Tai-Ho said, "but I need to know the truth. Are your people a threat to us?" Nix slowly reached for the notepad again. With shaking hands, it drew a new picture, not ships attacking Earth. Instead, it showed something that looked like a shield around the planet. Next to it, the alien drew what appeared to be other aliens watching Earth from a distance. "You're protecting us?" Tai-Ho asked, confused. Nix nodded, then pointed to the leaking blue fluid from its leg. The alien drew another picture, the fluid touching the communicator, causing damage. "Your blood damages the device," Tai-Ho realized. "We need to fix it again." But they had a bigger problem now. The howl had been loud, very loud. And Tai-Ho was sure the military was still nearby, watching. Time was running out. Tai-Ho placed Danji in the bedroom and closed the door. The beagle whined but stayed put. Nix sat on the floor, its leg bleeding the strange blue fluid again. "Let me help you," Tai-Ho said, approaching slowly. The alien watched him with caution in its yellow eyes. When Tai-Ho tried to clean the wound with antiseptic again, Nix pulled away sharply, making the hissing sound of pain. "That hurts you, doesn't it?" Tai-Ho asked, putting down the antiseptic. He thought for a moment. "Wait here." He went to the kitchen and opened an old wooden box. Inside were dried plants and herbs his grandmother had taught him to use. Traditional Korean remedies that had been in his family for generations. Tai-Ho mixed some herbs with warm water and returned to Nix. "This might work better," he said, showing the mixture to the alien. Nix sniffed it, then nodded slowly. As Tai-Ho applied the herbal paste to the wound, the alien's tense body relaxed. The blue fluid stopped leaking from the bite. "My grandmother said these herbs have healing power," Tai-Ho explained, even though he wasn't sure Nix understood his words. "She taught me when I was a boy." The alien made a soft sound, almost like humming. Its skin color lightened to a softer shade of purple. While the herbal paste dried on Nix's leg, Tai-Ho picked up the damaged communicator from the floor. The blue fluid had burned through some of the wiring. "We need to clean this and try again," he said. Nix took the notepad and drew a new picture, the planet Earth with small dots around it. Next to it, the alien drew what looked like a book with many pages. "You've been studying us?" Tai-Ho asked. The alien nodded. It drew more pages with stick figures on them, humans doing different things. "How long have your people been watching Earth?" Nix drew a simple timeline. At one end was a pyramid, at the other end was something that looked like a computer. The alien pointed to the pyramid. "That long? Since ancient Egypt?" Tai-Ho was shocked. "Why?" The alien drew again, different planets with X marks through them. Then Earth with a circle around it. Next to Earth, it drew a simple heart shape. Tai-Ho started to understand. "You like us, humans, we're special somehow." From the bedroom, Danji had stopped barking. When Tai-Ho checked, the beagle was sleeping peacefully. He decided to let the dog out, curious to see what would happen. Danji walked cautiously into the room. He went to Nix and sniffed the herbal paste on the alien's leg. Instead of growling, the dog tilted his head as if thinking. "It's okay," Danji, Tahoe said softly. To his surprise, the beagle sat down near Nix, still watchful but no longer aggressive. The alien slowly reached out a long purple finger. Danji sniffed it, then licked it once. Nix made a sound that reminded Tahoe of quiet laughter. "He likes you now," Tahoe said with a smile. "The herds must have changed your smell." As the day turned to evening, they worked together on the communicator. Tahoe's fingers were too big for some of the tiny parts, but Nix's thin fingers could reach them easily. They developed a rhythm of work, passing tools back and forth without words. When it was dark outside, Tahoe made a simple dinner. This time, Nix accepted a bowl of rice and some vegetables. The alien ate slowly, seeming to enjoy the food. After dinner, they returned to the communicator. Most of the damage was fixed, but one important part was still broken beyond repair. "We need a special piece," Tahoe said, pointing to the broken section. "Something that can handle more power." Nix nodded and drew a picture of what looked like a radio tower. "Yes, we need to find a strong transmitter," Tahoe agreed. "But where?" The alien pointed east, toward the town 20 kilometers away. "That's too dangerous," Tahoe said, shaking his head. "The military is watching us. If they catch you..." Nix drew another picture, the large alien ship coming to Earth, but with lightning bolts around it. The meaning was clear. If Nix couldn't contact his people soon, they might come looking, and that could be bad for everyone. Tahoe sighed deeply. The old astronaut looked at his calendar on the wall. 2 days had passed already. They only had 1 day left before Nix's people would come searching. "We'll need to be very careful," he said finally. "And we'll need help. I know someone in town who might have what we need." Danji stood up and wagged his tail, as if agreeing with the plan. Outside, an owl hooted in the darkness. Somewhere above them, beyond the stars, a ship was waiting for a signal that hadn't come. And in town, Major Park's team was surely watching, ready to act. Tomorrow would be dangerous for all of them. Morning came with heavy rain. Tahoe looked out the window at the gray sky. The bad weather might help them stay hidden, he thought. "We need to go to town," he told Nix. "My old friend Sunho owns an electronics shop there. He might have the part we need." The alien nodded. Tahoe had found a large coat and hat to hide Nix's unusual appearance. The coat was too short for the tall alien, but it was better than nothing. "You must stay quiet and follow me," Tahoe said. "And keep your head down." Danji whined at the door. He wanted to come too. "No, boy. You stay here and guard the house," Tahoe said, patting the beagle's head. They took Tahoe's old truck. Nix had to bend down in the passenger seat to fit. The rain hit the windshield hard as they drove the dirt road toward town. "Remember, if anyone asks, you are my cousin who can't speak because of a throat problem," Tahoe explained. The town was small, just a few shops and houses on a main street. Tahoe parked behind the electronics store and knocked on the back door. An old man with thick glasses opened it. "Tahoe, I haven't seen you in months," Sunho said, smiling. Then he noticed Nix. "Who is your friend?" "My cousin. He has a throat condition and can't talk," Tahoe said quickly. "We need your help, Sunho. Can we come in?" Inside the shop, Tahoe explained that he needed a strong transmitter for a special radio project. He didn't mention aliens or spaceships. "I think I have something," Sunho said, going to a shelf full of electronic parts. "Here, this came from an old military radio. Very powerful." The part was perfect. Tahoe paid his friend with the little money he had. As they were leaving, Tahoe noticed a black SUV driving slowly down the main street. It looked like the same one from before. "We need to hurry," he whispered to Nix. They rushed back to the truck and took a different road home, driving through the forest instead of the main road. The rain made it hard to see, but Tahoe knew these roads well. Back at the house, Danji greeted them with excited barks. Tahoe pulled the curtains closed and turned on only one small lamp. Now we can fix the communicator, he said. They worked for hours. Nix's long fingers moved quickly, connecting wires and adjusting tiny parts. Tai-Ho helped as best he could, holding tools and pieces in place. Finally, the communicator hummed to life. Its lights glowed blue and green in the darkroom. It's working, Tai-Ho said, feeling both excited and worried. What happens now? Nix made adjustments to the device. Strange sounds came from it, clicks and hums, and something like singing. The alien was sending a message to its ship. Tai-Ho waited nervously. What if this brought a whole fleet of alien ships to Earth? What if Nix's people weren't friendly after all? After several minutes, the communicator made a new sound, a low, pulsing tone. Nix's yellow eyes widened. They answered, Tai-Ho asked. The alien nodded. It picked up the notepad and drew quickly. The picture showed the mothership receiving their signal. But then Nix added something else. Small dots approaching Tai-Ho's house. Someone is coming here, Tai-Ho asked, his heart beating faster. Nix nodded again. It drew more. The dots had small symbols that looked like military badges. As if to confirm this, Danji ran to the window and started barking. Tai-Ho peeked through the curtains. In the distance, he could see lights moving through the rain. Flashlights or headlights coming from the direction of the main road. It's Major Park, he whispered. They must have followed us somehow. Nix added to the drawing. The mothership was coming too, but it would take time. Hours, maybe. Tai-Ho thought quickly. If the military found Nix, they would take the alien away. They would study it, maybe hurt it. He couldn't let that happen. We need to hide you, he told Nix. The alien shook its head. It pointed to the communicator and made gestures that seemed to mean important or dangerous. We can't let them take this, Tai-Ho agreed. If they find your technology. The lights outside were getting closer. They could hear engines now, several vehicles. Nix drew one last picture. The alien and Tai-Ho running into the forest, away from the house. The alien circled a spot on the crude map. You know somewhere we can go? Tai-Ho asked. The alien nodded and pointed east, toward the mountains. As the military vehicles pulled up to the house, Tai-Ho quickly packed a bag with food and water. He put the communicator inside and zipped it closed. Danji, come, he whispered. The beagle ran to his side. They slipped out the back door just as bright lights flooded the front of the house. This way, Tai-Ho said, leading Nix and Danji into the dark forest. Rain fell through the trees as Tai-Ho, Nix, and Danji ran deeper into the forest. The wet leaves made no sound under their feet. This was good. The soldiers wouldn't hear them. This way, Tai-Ho whispered, pointing to a narrow path. He knew these woods from his long walks with Danji. Behind them, they could hear shouts and see flashlight beams cutting through the darkness. Major Park was giving orders to her soldiers. Split up. Find them. Danji ran ahead, his nose to the ground. The beagle seemed to understand they needed to move quickly and quietly. Nix followed, its tall body bent low under tree branches. The communicator in Tai-Ho's bag made a soft beeping sound. He quickly opened the zipper to check it. One light was blinking faster now. What does this mean? He asked Nix. The alien drew a quick picture in the mud with its finger. The mothership was coming closer. How much time? Nix held up 4 fingers, then pointed to the sky. 4 hours, Tai-Ho guessed. We need to hide until then. They walked for another hour through the wet forest. The rain stopped, but water still dripped from the trees. Tai-Ho's old legs were tired, but he kept moving. He knew a place they might be safe. Suddenly, Danji froze. His ears perked up, and he growled softly. Someone was nearby. Tai-Ho and Nix crouched behind a large rock. Through the trees, they could see a man in a military uniform. He was alone, checking his map by flashlight. If he sees us, he'll call the others, Tai-Ho whispered. But before they could move, Danji darted out from behind the rock. The beagle ran straight to the soldier and began barking loudly. "Hey, what?" The soldier turned, startled by the dog. He shined his flashlight toward the rock. "Who's there?" Tai-Ho stood up slowly, keeping Nix hidden behind him. "It's just me. My dog got away from me." The soldier looked surprised. "Mr. Kim, Major Park is looking for you." He raised his radio to his mouth. "Wait," said a new voice. Another man stepped out from between the trees. He wore civilian clothes but had a military haircut. "I'll handle this." Tai-Ho's eyes widened. "Hyun-Ke." The newcomer nodded. "It's been a long time, Tai-Ho." Hyun-Ke Lee had been Tai-Ho's colleague at the space agency years ago. Now he was working with the military. "You shouldn't be out here," Hyun-Ke said, sending the soldier away with a quick order. When they were alone, he looked hard at Tai-Ho. "Major Park says you're hiding something. Something that fell from the sky." Tai-Ho said nothing. Danji returned to his side, watching Hyun-Ke carefully. "We've been friends for 30 years, Hyun-Ke continued. "Tell me the truth." Before Tai-Ho could answer, Nick stepped out from behind the rock. Hyun-Ke's mouth fell open in shock. "My God," he whispered. "It's real." "Please, Hyun-Ke," Tai-Ho said quickly. "You can't tell them. They'll take Nix away. Treat it like a lab animal." "You named it." Hyun-Ke couldn't take his eyes off the alien. "It's not dangerous. Its ship is coming to take it home." Hyun-Ke finally looked at his old friend. "Do you know what this means? First contact with an alien species. This changes everything." "Yes, but it must be peaceful," Tai-Ho insisted. "No cages, no tests, no weapons." The communicator in Tai-Ho's bag beeped again, louder this time. Nix reached for it, its yellow eyes worried. In the distance, they heard voices and dogs barking. The search team was getting closer. Hyun-Ke made a quick decision. "There's an old bunker from the war about 2 kilometers east. You remember it?" Tai-Ho nodded. "The concrete one by the river." "Go there. I'll lead the search team south." Hyun-Ke checked his watch. "I can give you 1 hour before they realize I'm misleading them." "Thank you," Tai-Ho said, gripping his friend's shoulder. "Don't thank me yet," Hyun-Ke replied. "If that ship comes and starts anything hostile, I'm with Major Park." "Understood." "It's not like that," Tai-Ho insisted. "I hope you're right." Hyun-Ke gave them one last look, then hurried away, shouting to the search team. "Over here. I found tracks heading south." Tai-Ho, Nix, and Danji moved quickly toward the east. The bunker was their last hope for hiding until the mothership arrived. But as they traveled, Tai-Ho noticed something wrong with Nix. The alien was moving slower, its purple skin turning a paler shade. Sometimes it stumbled on the uneven ground. "Are you sick?" Tai-Ho asked, worried. Nix nodded weakly. It pointed to the sky, then to itself, making a motion like breathing. "The air. Our air is hurting you." Another nod. Nix needed to return to its ship soon, or it might not survive much longer. The race against time had become more desperate than ever. The old bunker was cold and damp. Built during the Korean War, its concrete walls were covered with moss and old graffiti. Tai-Ho found a dry corner where they could rest. "We should be safe here for a while," he said, helping Nix sit down. The alien's breathing had become strange, quick and shallow. Its purple skin now had a grayish tone. Nix took the communicator from Tai-Ho's bag and adjusted some controls. The device made a series of beeps and clicks. "Are you calling your ship?" Tai-Ho asked. Nix nodded weakly. The alien pointed to itself, then made a falling motion with its hand. "You're getting worse," Tai-Ho said, understanding. "How can I help?" Danji whined and pressed his body against Nix's leg, as if trying to keep the alien warm. The beagle that had once bitten Nix now seemed worried about it. The communicator suddenly lit up brightly. Strange symbols appeared on its small screen. Nix looked at them and made a sound that might have been relief. Good news, Tahoe asked. The alien took the notepad and drew a picture of the mothership. It was much closer now. Then Nix drew something new. A diagram of what looked like humans and aliens standing together. Some had books, others had plants and animals. I don't understand, Tahoe said, confused. Nix pointed to its head, then to Tahoe's head. The alien wanted to share something important. You want to tell me something? About your people? Nix nodded. It placed its long purple fingers gently on Tahoe's forehead. At first, nothing happened. Then suddenly, Tahoe's mind was filled with images, not like pictures, but like memories he never had. He saw planets, hundreds of them. Some were beautiful and full of life. Others were dead, burned, polluted, destroyed by war. He saw alien species that had killed themselves with weapons or used up all their planet's resources. Then he saw Earth, watched over by Nix's people for thousands of years. The Vosik, they called themselves. They were not invaders. They were more like gardeners, caretakers. They found planets with intelligent life and helped them, sometimes directly, sometimes just by watching and protecting them from afar. Earth was special to them. Humans had something rare. They could be both fierce and kind, destructive and creative. Most species only had one or the other. When the images stopped, Tahoe gasped. You've been protecting us. Nix nodded. It drew one more picture, the mothership coming down to Earth, with a bright beam of light. That's how they'll pick you up? Tahoe asked. The alien nodded again, but then drew military vehicles and weapons around the beam. You're worried our military will think it's an attack, Tahoe realized. This was a serious problem. If Major Park and her soldiers saw a giant alien ship shooting a beam of light down to Earth, they would assume the worst. They might attack, and then the Vosik might defend themselves. What started as a rescue could turn into the very war that Nex's people had been trying to prevent. Outside, they heard the distant sound of helicopters. The military was expanding its search. The communicator beeped again. Nix looked at it, then held up 3 fingers. 3 hours until your ship arrives, Tahoe asked. The alien shook its head and pointed to the moon, just visible through a crack in the bunker's roof. 3 hours until morning, Tahoe corrected himself. Dawn was coming soon. Nix drew a circle for the sun, then the mothership next to it. The meaning was clear. The Vosik ship would arrive at dawn, when it could be clearly seen. That's too dangerous, Tahoe said. Everyone will see it. But Nex's condition was getting worse. The alien's breathing was now labored, and its movements were slow. It needed its own atmosphere soon. Tahoe checked the supplies in his bag. Some food, water, the communicator, and his old cell phone. He turned on the phone, surprised to find he had a weak signal here. Maybe we can call Hyun-Ki, he said. Tell him to keep the military away. As he dialed the number, Danji suddenly stood up and growled at the bunker door. His sharp ears had heard something outside. Tahoe froze, listening. Footsteps. Someone had found them. The door to the bunker slowly opened, letting in the pale light of the fading moon. Major Park stood there, her gun pointed straight at them. Don't move, Mr. Kim, she said coldly. You or your guest. Behind her were at least 10 soldiers, all with weapons ready. The truth had been revealed, but it might be too late to matter. Step away from the alien, Mr. Kim, Major Park ordered. Her gun did not waver. Tahoe stood up slowly, placing himself between Nix and the soldiers. Major, please listen. Nix is not a threat. Its people have been watching over Earth for centuries. Move aside, Major Park said coldly. That creature is coming with us. Dawn was breaking outside. Pale golden light filtered through the bunker door. They were running out of time. You don't understand, Tahoe insisted. Nix is dying in our air. Its ship is coming to take it home. If you try to stop that, its people might think we're hostile. Major Park's eyes narrowed. A convenient story. From behind Taiho, Nix struggled to stand. The alien was very weak now, its purple skin almost gray. The communicator in its hands beeped urgently. Danji stayed close to the alien, as if protecting it. "We need to get to the clearing by the river," Taiho said. "The ship will land there." "Please, Major, I was an astronaut. I served our country. Trust me now." For a moment, Major Park seemed to consider his words. Then Hyun-ki pushed through the soldiers to stand beside her. "He's telling the truth, Major," Hyun-ki said. "I've known Taiho for 30 years. He wouldn't help anything that threatened Earth." Major Park hesitated. The communicator beeped again, more urgently. "It's coming," Taiho said. "We need to go now." "Fine," Major Park finally said. "But my men surround you the whole way. If that alien makes one wrong move, we shoot." They walked quickly through the forest toward the river clearing. The sun was rising, painting the sky pink and gold. Taiho helped Nix, who could barely walk now. Danji ran ahead, leading the way. When they reached the clearing, the communicator made a new sound, a deep, resonating tone. Nix looked up at the sky. "It's here," Taiho whispered. At first, they saw nothing. Then the air seemed to ripple, like heat above a road in summer. Slowly, a massive shape appeared above them. The mothership. It was huge, at least 500 meters across, and shaped like a giant disk. It made no sound as it hovered above the clearing. The soldiers raised their weapons. Major Park shouted into her radio, calling for backup. "No," Taiho yelled. "Don't shoot." A bright beam of light suddenly shot down from the center of the ship, touching the ground about 50 meters from them. The light was so bright it hurt their eyes. "It's an attack," Major Park shouted. "Open fire." "No, it's extraction." Taiho tried to explain, but the soldiers were already aiming. Nix looked at the beam, then at the soldiers. The alien knew what would happen if the Vosik ship was attacked. With the last of its strength, Nix let out a powerful howl, louder than any sound it had made before. The howl echoed across the clearing, making everyone cover their ears. The beam of light flickered and began to fade. Nix was signaling its ship to retreat. "Stop." Major Park ordered a soldier who was approaching Nix with a tranquilizer gun. But the soldier didn't hear her over the howl. He raised his gun, aiming at Nix. In that moment, Danji acted. The beagle lunged forward and bit the soldier's hand hard. The man yelled and dropped his gun. The confusion gave Taiho the chance he needed. He grabbed the communicator from Nix and pressed the buttons he had seen the alien use. The device lit up. Taiho spoke clearly into it. "We are not enemies. We want peace. Please show them." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the beam of light returned, but different now. Instead of just light, it projected images in the air above them. Huge, clear pictures of planets and people and animals. It showed the Vosik helping other species, saving worlds, sharing knowledge. Everyone, soldiers included, stared in wonder. "Stand down," Major Park said quietly to her men. "Lower your weapons." As the images continued, Nix found the strength to walk toward the beam. The alien turned back to look at Taiho and Danji. "Go," Taiho said with a smile. "Thank you for trusting us." Nix bent down and gently patted Danji's head. The beagle wagged his tail. Then the alien handed Taiho a small object, something like a seed, glowing with soft blue light. "What is this?" Taiho asked. Nix pointed to the images still playing in the air. One showed humans and Vosik meeting as equals. A promise, Taiho understood. "We'll meet again someday." The alien nodded, then walked into the beam of light. As Nix rose toward the ship, its color returned to bright purple. The howling alien that had crashed in Taiho's garden was going home. Major Park came to stand beside Taiho. "What happens now?" she asked. Taiho watched as the ship began to fade from view again. "Now we learn. We prepare. There's a whole universe out there, and someday we'll be ready to join it. Danji barked once, as if agreeing. The beagle that bit first had helped forge humanity's first peaceful contact with the stars.